What's up guys, welcome back to another video, and this is one of those difficult videos to make, and it took me quite a bit of time to decide to make this video. I wanted to make this video in November of last year, and it have taken me almost 2 months for me to get enough courage to actually do it. Most of them, they come out as blogging, and I did not want it to look like that. And also there is some security concern when you put this kind of information online. But the people who inspired me the most, they did actually have their net worth online, and it showed me a person with a certain amount of income can actually accumulate a huge net worth that I was aspiring to, and it gave me hope to know that I can do it. When I saw someone else who has similar income like mine or even less, and they were able to do it, it gave me some form of a roadmap or guidelines on what to do and not what to do. So I'm hoping this video will be the same. It will give you a little bit of a roadmap or a guideline, or even inspire you to start tracking your own net worth and actually having some financial goals. So here it is. I'll show you one of the way I actually track my net worth. I just use a simple calendar and I track my net worth every month, and it's a good visual illustration of my progress. We'll start from 2017 and we'll stop at November of 2021. So the year 2017 is when I started to track everything, and you can see I wrote down is the start of the FI journey or financial independence journey, and it was a 10-year plan. So basically from 2017 to the end of 2026, we were supposed to have $1 million in net worth. I had $54,000 in net worth, and my wife had about $25,000 in net worth. At this time, we were around 31 years old. So we were not that young. We had about $45,000 in debt, and most of that was student loan and car debt. So that's how we started. Going to February, it was just tracking, and my goal was to save or at least see my personal net worth go up by $5,000 and my wife with about $2,000 or $3,000. At this time, I was still trying to convince her why having this goal is important. Eventually, she came on board and things became a lot easier. In April, we finally hit $100,000 in net worth. I had 76, my wife had 30, and I think that was the goal for the year, to have $100,000 net worth. Remember, when you don't have $100,000 net worth, it seems like such a huge amount of money, but I wanted to prove to myself that we can actually do it. So we did it relatively easy, but we did not start from zero. We started at 70s. In August, we are at 150, and our debt has gone down to 32,000 from 45,000. And September we were at 168, and also I don't know if you can see, that's when we had $100,000 invested. So we never had $100,000 invested before that. And in October we were at 177, so our debt had gone down to 31,000 from 45, and we had $100,000 in cash at this time. So the reason we had $100,000 is because we were looking for a house. And in November, we finally closed on a house. We put around $80,000 in cash down for the house. And after paying the closing cost, our net worth was minus $138,000 because of mortgage. The house was around $420,000. We financed around $320,000. So combining $320,000 plus $30,000 in debt, our net worth went down to negative $138,000. But after November, where you see 195, it's not a true net worth. That's just the value of the asset. In December, it says we have a net worth of $200,000, but that's actually just the value of the asset, like our investments in retirement, and also the equity in the house and the little cash we had left. So that's what I am tracking. It's just a simple brain trick that I was using to help me actually focus on growth. I did track the actual net worth somewhere because I have a spreadsheet, but I wanted to see the growth. I just wanted to focus on the growth, and eventually I knew that we'll be able to overcome the negative net worth. 2018 was our second year in the FIRE movement, or the year of tracking our net worth. I want our asset value to go to $300,000. So we started at $150 for me, $81 for my wife, so combined $230,000 in assets. And also we had some other goals here, like renovating the house, paying off the student debt. 2018, nothing really happened. We hit our goal of $300 in September. I had $199,000 in assets for me and my wife, and $109,000. You can see at the end of the year, our assets were around $320,000. So the market was down about 20%. So we increased our asset value by $105,000. And this is the only year that S&P 500 was in the negative. For instance, in 2017, the S&P 500 returned 18%. So then comes 2019. It was a relatively good year. The goal was $400,000 in asset value. So at the end of January, we had around $338,000. My assets were worth $217, and my wife's assets were worth around $121. We were still paying student debt. Then on February of 2019, our true net worth became positive. So our true net worth was only $11,000. So when you look at the debt, we had around $343,000 in debt. Our asset value of $354,000, that equaled $11,000 in true net worth. But even then, I did not track our true net worth. It was a little side note. I focused on the actual asset value. In May of 2019, our asset value was worth around $400,000, and we paid off the student loan there. So at this point, we had no other debt except the mortgage. And then November of 2019, that's when our asset hit around $500,000, and we ended the year with $526,000. So the crazy thing about this year is the first year that we saw our asset increase by $200,000. I never expected that. I thought maybe it would go up by 100, but to go up by 200, it was a crazy year. But also the S&P 500 returned 30%. So this was a very good year for the stock market. And then came year 2020. This was an interesting year. This is when the pandemic happened, and I thought it would affect our growth, but we were lucky to keep our jobs, and also we were lucky for the stock market to go up, and the house value started to take off. Our goal was $600,000, and you can see at the end of January, we were already at $550,000. The market was underperforming here because of the coronavirus. It rebounded eventually. And believe it or not, we did refinance our house in May of 2020. It costed us some money, but we went from 3.875% to like 2.9%. So it saved us about $300 a month. And then the next month after we finished refinancing, I started thinking about paying off our house. In July, I started planning where to get the money. And in August, we actually paid off the house. So this was a dumb idea. It's the lack of long-term planning. But if I have thought and looked at all the options, maybe I could have saved a little bit of money and not refinance. So in our plan, there were mistakes, and that's one mistake we made there. So from here on, we will be looking at our true net worth. What you are seeing, like in September, is the value of our house plus our investments and a little bit of cash that we had. And at this time, our house was worth around $450,000 when I paid it off. Continued to grow. Just in July, we hit $600,000, and in November, we had $700,000. In December, we ended up with $754,000. In December, the house was 66% of our net worth, and at that time, the house was worth $500,000. Our net worth grew by $228,000, and also the S&P 500 returned 18%. So 2020, although it was a little shaky at the beginning, it ended up being a very positive year for us. And then came year 2020, and our goal was 850. I did not have much planned for this year, and all you are seeing here is the true net worth. The surprise for this year is the house value. House value everywhere, they went up, and our house was no different. And most of the growth that you see is because I keep changing the house value. So at the end of the month in January, we were at 770. And then by March, we were at 816. And then the house value went up to 550. We were already at 900. So this is the fastest growth we saw between March and April. And then we stayed around 900 for a few months. And then I changed the house value again to 600, where it is today. Then this is just us saving, and then the stock market gain. In October, we actually went over $1 million in net worth. This is true net worth, and our house is still at 600, and the percentage of the house value is still very high at 58%. Dow Jones in 2021 was up 20%, and we went up by almost 300. We went up by 279,000. So 2021 was the best performing year for us, but that's because of the house value. You can see we started at around $500,000 in house value, and we ended up with $600,000 in house value. And the stock market also grew a little bit, and we put money into our retirement account. So that's how we ended up with $1 million. So this was just a recap of how we ended up with $1 million in 5 years. As you can see, all I did was write down the goals, just educating myself. I became financially literate, and I also started to track our net worth. As people say, you cannot improve what you do not measure. So if you learn anything from this, just start writing your goals down and then start tracking the progress. I was lucky to have a partner that was willing to go through this with me, and it made things a lot easier. I hope this will help you focus on your goals and accomplish something great this year or next year. And one thing you have to remember is, even if I was 50% of where I was, it was still gonna be very huge progress compared to where I started. By now, by year 5, I thought maybe I'll have 500,000. I never expected to be at $1 million. So just start somewhere, track your net worth, educate yourself, know the basics, put in some work, and with a little bit of luck, you can do a lot in short amount of time. But always remember, getting rich is a marathon. It's not a short-term goal. So prepare to go the long haul. So I want to thank you guys for watching, and thank you for all the support, and I'll see you guys on the next one.